primary ignition.
This is Star Wars.
Look out!
Core World News.
You may fire when ready.
From the bright center of the galaxy, I'm Rex Kondak, and you're listening to Core World News, your holiday news service providing in-depth coverage of the latest stories from all sectors of the galaxy. Welcome to another special presentation of Andor Candor. This week, the news team reviews Episode 11, Daughter of FERRIX. We now go live to the CWN newsroom to join your hosts, Benn and Grandt, for a discussion of another phenomenal episode of Andor.
Thank you very much, Rex Kondak. Welcome to another week, Core World News. Grandt, how's it going, man?
I mean, who could be happier? Another episode of Andor. I'm on Coruscant. I'm on Sagra Minor. I'm just riding high. I'm on Niamos. I'm surfing on Niamos. This is fantastic.
Oh yeah,
I'm loving this show.
Absolutely, man. It was so fun. I watched this one twice. Got 2 viewings in on it. I can't wait to watch this whole thing in its entirety. But that's for a conversation for another day. We've got no Atum today. Where is Atum? What happened?
I heard, Atum did send a transmission. I think he's in the caves with Saw. Not great comm service over there, but he did get us a transmission. We'll listen to that later. And we're gonna miss him this week, but next week we're gonna be back for the finale, so you'll have all 3 of us for the finale. But this week we're down 1 host in Atum. But what's great is Atum did watch the episode and record his thoughts, and we're gonna put that in the episode, and we'll even listen to it live on air here. And we'll see what Atum thought.
Yeah, sounds good, man. I hope that transmission didn't get intercepted by the wrong people on the way over to our secret satellite moon here. But do you want to get right into the drop and let's cover what's going on? Let's do it.
This episode, obviously directed by Benjamin Caron and written by Tony Gilroy. And Disney's summary is: a fugitive once more, Cassian must make his move before it's too late. And then now for our long-form Morlana drop, in which we summarize the episode succinctly, but also try to give you the full episode in its entirety, all the action, everything that's going on. Because though the show is about Andor, this is an ensemble piece, and there are so many character arcs interweaving throughout this narrative. So let's jump into the Morlana drop. The Morlana drop. Having escaped last episode, Andor and Melshi struggle and cling to the side of a cliff and evade Imperial patrol. They later spot a quad jumper and 2 Caridian fishermen in the canyon basin. Cassian and Melshi run for the ship in hopes to steal it and make it off-world, but they're quickly ensnared in the fisherman's net. Luckily, Dewey and Freebie hate the Skaban Empire, release them, and give them a lift to Niamos. After reaching Niamos, Cassian retrieves his stash box from his old beachside abode. On FERRIX, a grieving B2 emo is resistant to leave Marva's home after her passing. Rosso tries to console B2 while the daughters of FERRIX remove her body to begin the funerary process of making her a brick to be set in a wall in the city. Across the street, we see both Cinta and an undercover Imperial spy observing the tragic affair. Later, at the Imperial HQ on FERRIX, Dedra calls in to inform the captain to approve a permit for the funeral, and that they'll be watching carefully for any signs of Andor. We also see a devastatingly maltreated Bix question further about the buyer she introduced to Cassian. This time, the Imperials display a hologram of Anton Kreegyr and ask if this is her contact. On Coruscant, Vel visits Luthien's shop and tells Kleya about the passing of Andor's mother. Vel then visits a distraught Mon Mothma, who watches her daughter Leda practice a traditional Chandrilan chant with her friends. Mon tells Vel about her money problems, her reliance on Tay, and a possible solution to protect Luthien's operation. Across the city at the Karn residence, Cyril awakens to a call from Sergeant Mosk. Mosk informs Cyril about the death of Andor's mother and that he may show up for the funeral. Cyril steals credits from his mother's safe, and we can assume books transport to FERRIX. On Sagro Milo, Luthien returns to warn Saw Gerrera that the Empire has learned about Kreegyr's raid on Spellhouse and will likely have countermeasures in place. And now paranoid Saw accuses Luthien of either being ISB or having informants within the Bureau. He further accuses Luthien of having spies everywhere, possibly in his own partisan militia. Luthien convinces Saw they need to give up Kreegyr and 30 men so the ISB doesn't suspect a leak, and they'll have a clear field of play for their next move. While departing Sagro-Milo, Luthien gets stopped by an Imperial arrestor cruiser. Luthien cleverly uses the custom add-ons of his modified hullcraft to disable the cruiser's tractor beam, destroy the fighters, and jump the light speed in one exhilarating and ultimately glorious action sequence. Back on Niamos, Cassian contacts his friend Zahn on FERRIX. Zahn informs Cassian that Marva has passed. An emotionally shattered Cassian ends the call and gives a blaster to Melshi before they part ways.
All right, man.
That was the episode.
Whew. Yeah, that's a lot. It's a totally different story when you go planet to planet. Yeah, it's a million cuts. I have like notes from like every scene, and it's there's like 21 scenes or something, and it was a short episode too. It's crazy.
Yeah, in this one we try to separate it by planet. I think some people do character arc. We've been going chronological. That's how we've been reporting episodes. But this time we're going by planet because I think if you really look at the episode, it's just everyone learning about Marva's death.
Yeah.
And just how, how everyone's going to operate and hinge off that moment. It seems to be like the main focus of the episode in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So
it's
a lot of setup for the finale.
Right. A lot of chess pieces moving into position for the finale, but so enjoyable and like really interesting stories as they move. I find like these episodes are like my favorite in this in this series. It's like these like tweener episodes or the middle of the arc or whatever, because it's just so interesting. They develop. It's so fun to watch like the characters develop and do fun things, so.
But just jumping back to the beginning, like I'm just loving the opening and sort of endings of these episodes and just how much emotion is built into those beats, basically. Because I loved Cassian and Melshi sort of hanging onto that cliff, like starting from the beginning, hanging onto that cliff. The patrol tie sort of flies overhead. Yeah. Or what is that? I feel like that's a transport or something.
Of course you're going to ask me. And
no, we don't need to go into that. We don't need to go into that.
But it's they have similar models at on Scarif.
Yeah. Yeah, we've seen that ship in Rogue One.
Yeah, but it's like an Inatmo patrol ship.
Yeah. Love them holding onto the cliff. Just love that emotion there. They were just battered and bruised and bloodied from, having escaped the prison and traveling across Narkina. That really was great. I love that opening. Yeah, it carried over the emotion from the previous episode. You're like, just in case you forget, these guys are still like, running for their lives. Hey, do you think we should let Atum speak? We'll do his recording now. Hear Atum's thoughts, and then we'll dive in.
We can build off that since he's not here to speak for himself. So this is the transmission from Atum. I hope he's safe. We have not listened to this yet, so we'll see how this goes. Yeah, this will be first time reactions.
Hello all. Sorry I couldn't join in the fun and conversation this evening, but I figured I'd send in a tight beam recording of my reactions to this current episode of Andor. I'm recording this on Life Day Eve, so happy Life Day to all of those who celebrate. Nice. I'm sure Benn and Grandt have talked quite a bit about this episode, so I don't want to spend too much time. There's a lot I could talk about. I could talk about the fact that this is, your classic penultimate episode of the season. It's all about moving the pieces on the board to getting them into position to, get into conflict. But in the classic Andor style that we've grown to love, doing it eloquently and with a lot of great character moments. I could talk about how much I am, depressed about Bix and the turmoil she's going through. That was quite depressing. I could talk a bit about the fact that I was right about Mon Mothma and her selling her soul, or at least starting to go down that path. We'll see if she actually gets there. There's a lot that happened this episode. Classic Saw being paranoid, which leads to Luthien actually referring to two tubes by two tubes, which was my favorite thing kind of ever. Just call them there's tubes. So much here, but and the fact that I think Cyril Karn is really going to be kind of the proverbial fly in the ointment in the next episode. I'm pretty sure he's going to end up leading to this. He did call that this whole thing being bungled and a good old fashioned shootout or something happening. But again, this show always defies expectations. So I really don't know what to expect. I can talk about the fact that I was a little surprised that Marva died off screen. Not necessarily a bad thing. It was kind of nice to spare me from that anguish because the show's been really, really dark for the last few episodes. But I really thought she would go out in a different way. But I think it makes the most sense for the character.
Yeah.
So I can talk about all these things. And I don't want to keep us here all night. But I just there's one thing. There's just really one thing that stands out from this entire episode, and something that I think we all probably noticed, but maybe didn't really, give it its proper thought and depth. And, something that I think
he's going to troll us right now.
Really need to spend a lot of time dissecting. And that's the fact that apparently starships now can shoot lightsabers. That's all I got. Yeah. All right. Let me know what you think about that.
It's Skykyber.
Skykyber. I knew that was going to grind out his ears.
My Skykyber thermal oscillators. Some Luthien.
Yeah, dude, the lightsabers were sick. Tell me you didn't like. You weren't
space.
stoked.
Yeah, the ship sabers. That was awesome. Just that move. I mean, Luthien just showing up as, and also the droid and just all the mods on the ship, like the countermeasures, the flechette. Like battery countermeasures to just destroy the tractor beam array, like that moment.
Yeah,
that was some of the greatest Star Wars I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was the third time there was someone that was like, "Whoa!" when they saw that ship. Like, what is that ship? We saw it earlier with like when he like jumped to hyperspace without even like programming anything in or something, and Cassian was like, "I've never seen a hauler do that before." That ship has got a lot of tricks up its sleeve, and it's a fun. It's already a fan favorite, I think.
Yeah. So the new lightsabers, to Adam's curiosity, it's I'm excited about what that means for the future of Star Wars and sort of like, small scale lightsaber laser, constant laser sort of weaponry, like what that means. Like, could you shoot out like nets of lasers at people? Like, what does that mean at this point? Like, what else can we do now? So that was very cool.
It does feel like one-uppance. Like it's sort of like, it's like, all right, there's like lightsabers, there's cool, and now there's double-bladed lightsabers, and then there's cross-bladed lightsabers. And now there's ships with lightsabers, and I mean they were laser weapons. It wasn't really lightsabers, but it.
Is that the TIE Reaper attack lander we see at the beginning? Is that what that is?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we got
TIE Reaper. That's what it's called.
I had to look that up. I wasn't going to let this pod continue. I wasn't going to let the time.
I'm glad someone cares, Grant.
We got it. We got it in. Okay. So, but also to Adam's massive prediction that Cyril is going to get involved on FERRIX, and sort of Cyril will possibly gun down Luthien, maybe solve the entire sort of like Imperial operation, and possibly take credit for it. What that could mean with Dedra, how Dedra maybe could take him under her employ. I don't know, and he could be wielded like that, or if he's going to be, just on his own vigilante mission, which is kind of Adam's prediction, what we've been talking about quite a bit.
I kind of want to see it go the other way, where he just bungles into this position and gets himself killed, in some like poetic way. Yeah. But no, now that you say that, I'm like, okay, because then you'd have all the scenes like where he's a super creep, and yet Dedra needs to be around him a lot, and I would kind of hate that, but I'm sure they would do it in a really fun way.
Yeah, it's interesting that. Do you think we can lose Luthien in this first season here?
I hope we don't. I mean, he's legend, but I feel like they've
nonetheless we have to get Mon Mothma out of the embassy, and we need more going on with that character, and almost like Luthien is sort of on the ground for the rebellion. I think we need to see more Mon Mothma on the ground, or at least traveling for the rebellion.
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see her travel until next season because math. I think in Rebels she like defects in like 3 BBY.
That's true. She's like BBY. Still in the Senate. Yeah, she's still working. Yeah.
Like, but when she actually comes out in full-throated voice as a rebel, then and from hiding like on Yavin, I think we're gonna see Yavin next year too. But like, that's what happens. But it happens later.
Yeah,
I
do we
think
also see maybe how Saw gets wounded and sort of why he has the respirator? Are we going to see something like that happen?
dude, or I mean, we're already getting into predictions. We haven't even done the show, but
Yeah, there's a lot. Let's go through chronologically because
Yeah.
anything else Adam brought up that sort of inspired you or anything you want to talk about?
there were so many things. I mean,
Yeah.
everything he sort of like he brought up a lot of great points in there. I mean, Bix,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
that was a bummer of a scene.
What a
It really
sad
made you
fall for Bix. I mean, this is tough. I really hope she fights back and gets her time as a rebel after this. She's got something to fight for. She must hate these people.
So she gets tortured, right? And I mean, obviously she's already like destroyed.
She looks like a shell of who she once was. Like it just looks. Ugh.
Yeah. Cassian's gonna see that, and he's gonna go.
Yeah, he's gonna go crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole town. I mean, I hope Brasso sees her and it's just like, what is going on? This has to end.
Yeah, Brasso too. Yeah, I think. I mean, again, you want to get. I mean, I think there's going to be a massive battle on FERRIX, and I think Cassian's going to be part of it. It'll be like liberation of FERRIX.
I can't wait to talk about the Brasso scenes because he gets the gold star for the episode.
Yeah.
He did all the work and he is just showed the humanity and just the way
Before we
he
get to
treated
that,
me
though,
too.
I wanted to ask you about that scene Bix before we Bix, because so they show her Anton Kreegyr and they're like, is this the guy you met with?
Yes.
Do you think there's enough of her soul left to be like, yes?
Or I think it would be smart to say yes, because then when he gets taken out, the rebels have a clear field to make their next play. Like that is how they play the game, basically, is let the ISB get a win, but it's a small win, and then they take, tenfold. That's just how you do it. That's how you wage a rebellion.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great plan.
It's an optic win for them. Like it looks like a win, but again, you're playing chess and they're taking your rook, you're taking their queen. It's
right. But so my guess on this is that that's not what happens though, because this is Star Wars and there are heroes, and I think Saw's going to go in there and try and bust and save Kreegyr. Like try to have it both ways. And just fight, knowing the Empire is going to come there. Maybe try and set a trap for the Empire and fight it out with them.
I think
try and save.
Don't you think all the rebels are going to hit FERRIX and it's going to be a complete W and Cassian's going to get out of there with Bix or something? Like, I don't know.
No, I mean, I because the rebel story I think is really Saw and Kreegyr.
What? All right. So, what was the subtext of the scene with Luthien and Kleya when they're talking about the sort of product or the artifact that they're going to collect? And it's really just about what I think is about is Saw and Cassian also being out there and
Cassian too,
and then wanting to investigate that piece and see if he can acquire it, or like it was something like that.
And she was like, we should let it go, and he's like, it's some pieces are too valuable to let go.
So to me that was Cassian. It was the piece. Okay, that's interesting. What is that about? It's interesting that Luthien is so sort of focused on Cassian and has this belief in Cassian. It's super interesting to me. It's almost like he knows he's going to be integral to this, stealing the Death Star plans and sort of this, the larger rebellion. It's like, it's interesting. It's almost like as if Luthien was friends with Guardians of the Will or like Jedi or something. I'm not saying it's like Force.
Jared, like, are you not saying
obviously he collects artifacts and antiques and things that are vestiges of Force worshiping sort of, I don't know, people, cultures. Yeah. So
I love that thought. Take it to the next level. I mean, he said it himself. He's collecting heroes, right? So
yeah. He already said he's collecting heroes, and I mean, Cassian has shown that he can. Any mission that he's on, he seems to have the tact and the wherewithal to get them through sort of whatever technological obstacle, whatever it could be. Yeah.
Piloting obstacle, strategy, like military strategy. He just like knows this stuff, and I'm getting the feeling like he hasn't put it all together yet. And then like leadership, right, which he was forced into.
But to me, that says Luthien's probably going to be on FERRIX. I mean, we're having this conversation about what's going to go down in FERRIX in the finale, because I think that is the most tantalizing conversation right now. Is the finale's next week?
Yeah,
it seems like FERRIX is going to be this massive sort of plot point for all the characters again.
Yeah,
which is a fun sort of echo of what happened. It's almost like Berlin and the Good Shepherd or something. It's this like location that just keeps getting used. That the spies keep meeting there. What espionage is occurring there. It's pretty cool. Looks like that's going to happen again. Yeah, just with how all the pieces are being set up. And I gotta think Luthien might check it out. Might be like, no, we gotta get Cassian out of there. You know, like he can't be there.
Right, but who decided that Cassian needed to die? Was it Val, or was it like by herself and Cinta, or was it Luthien the first time? Was that a bad question?
A lot of people have thought that Luthien would kill Cassian. That first time he talks about letting him get off the ship and he doesn't have to take the mission.
Someone sent Val to go kill him, right? Remember?
Oh yeah, Val was sent. Cinta was sent to watch for Cassian, and if found, I think take him out because he's seen, Luthien.
But you think they'll save him? You think Luthien will save him this time around?
I don't know. There's so many fun directions you could take the story, so I don't even want to pontificate on that. I just want to. I feel like because there's fun avenues where it's like maybe Cyril doesn't take him out, but maybe Cassian takes him out by mistake or something. I've seen like crazy spy stories where it's like you said, something gets bungled and it's just like who's who and you don't know what's going on and like there's a crowd or there's an explosion or whatever. But I do think the brick that they make that you think is Marva is actually going to be like laced with explosive or something like that. That's what I do think is going to happen. I do think there's going to be a massive rebellion that hinges kind of like off that moment. That's a big prediction I have.
That's a good call, man. That's a good call. I was just thinking about I thought it was
like the brick conveniently has to go into the Imperial HQ. Like this is where the slot. We have to slot the brick right here. Is that cool? And they're all like, the Imperial's like, yeah, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, whatever peon, and then it's like, boom, have some.
Yeah.
Marva says hi.
That's just a prediction I have.
Yeah.
Do you want to go back chronologically and dig in?
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of liking shooting around here.
Yeah, go around.
Yeah, I think that scene is going to be nuts when he comes back and sees all of that stuff. Of course, I've now lost. Now all I can think about is Marva, and that was it. It was just like she's, it's a choice to like have her die off screen, and also have like the hero like Cassian was doing all the things that would have made his mother proud, but he didn't tell her about it. And then he was just like, when he calls her up, he's like, tell her I'll make her proud. And like, he was like so excited that he's like, I'm a rebel now. And then, but she's already dead. And it's like, that is a crazy choice. It's like so sad that they had her just like sort of die before he could get any resolution with her. It was wild.
I know.
So that makes me think.
I almost wish they could have had like one night drinking Revnog and talking about Aldani. And she's like, you did that. That's amazing. Like,
yeah. Right.
Good.
Right? How stoked would she have been if she knew her son?
If she found that out? Yeah, stoked. Yeah,
but he couldn't tell her
actually
because
just rebel, mom. So it's just she's one person who actually would understand Cassian in that action. So. Oh
man, you just sold like $1 million in sweatshirts that say "Rebel Mom."
Yeah, I can see that being a thing, and that's fantastic. Who cares? That's great. I love it. Hopefully there's B2 emo shirts coming out too.
Oh man, dude. So
Rebel Mamas was great.
B2 like breaks my heart like all the time. Like like B2 emo is supposed to be the droid, not me. Like when I watch that droid, it's like somewhere between a puppy and a child and like a favorite grandparent or something. Like he just wants like attention, and he's so simple and so sweet. And like everyone's like, not now, B2. Like I got to do real stuff.
Yeah.
And but like. Go like first person through B2, like which was like
I'm glad you're here. Or whenever he comes back, when Bronson comes back, it broke my heart. I was like weeping in the B2 scenes. I was like, because when the T starts shaking and you see his eye, that's sort of extreme closes that are very experimental and sort of like really cool. Like honestly, you really kind of don't see those kind of shots with droids in Star Wars when they kind of the best sort of shots, because it's interesting to look at their parts and that T's shaking. That was so cool. And then it's his anxiety. It's his emotions. He's in touch with his emotions. He's an
old droid. Like, I just wonder if like over time they get weirder, or this is just like an emotional droid or something.
Yeah. He's B2 emotional. Yeah. Yeah. That's how I feel about him. And I feel like he's us. He's this humanity to him where he just wants to find connection and sort of build a long-term relationship and become friends and all this kind of sort of stuff. And he seems like Brasso is filling the void that Marva left, which is like honestly, like some of the best storytelling I've seen in a while. Like I would love to just follow Brasso and B2 after this.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm also worried about Brasso because he seems to be the sort of like targeted person.
Yeah, they have their eye on him.
The next target, I think, in the city. So that's kind of scary.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. He's a great character. Brasso's a great character. Yeah. Every scene he's in is like compelling, and yeah, he's a good character. We'll see those two in action, I'm sure. What's up? Oh, let's talk about aliens, man. We actually got a lot of aliens in this one.
Yeah. First of all, what did you think when you saw the quad jumper in the beginning? Like,
I thought about Agnar Plut's shipyard in Force Awakens.
Yeah, me too.
Because they have a quad jumper there
so
too.
Cool. Yeah. Well, it's fun to recognize the ship, and so cool. Those aliens, the Caridians that we saw. Soku Dewey and Freedy.
Oh, Narkinians.
I don't think they're Narkinians. I think they're different. Maybe they are Narkinians.
That's what it said in my subtitles today. I'm not
okay. They're Narkinians. They are
Narkinians because it is Narkina 5, and they're actually considered.
Okay, locals. They are Narkinians. Someone had written, I guess, in Wikipedia or IMDb.
Maybe Wikipedia is different. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think it's probably wrong. I think I always go with subtitles. So Narkinians, those the design was almost like Fifth Element. Just how they spoke and just how large they were and how they were just lumbering around. It was
they're like extra long arms and like doing things and crazy facial features, and it was like perfect Star Wars, man. It was like a little rubber suity, but like their movements were enough to make it.
I was like, this is so great. And like, they kill the water. Like they're trying to kill you. They'll kill the
squigglies.
So good. So good.
Yeah, that's definitely a scene.
It felt like Labyrinth. It felt like classic, almost Jim Henson, and like there was Lord of the Rings sort of vibe as well. It was just awesome. Like it's such a cool sort of alien moment, and the little mine that shot the webs, like that was the nets. That was cool.
they just watch them like sprint past and like watch them get caught and then chuckle.
Yeah,
that was hilarious. Those guys are great.
Yeah, so
I don't know where he caught Huey. I caught Freedy. He's like don't, isn't that right, Freedy? And they're fun. That's cool. They're a fun duo. And of course they actually
aliens we saw.
Yeah. And of course they help the guys instead of hurt them.
That was so great.
Glad that worked.
That totally subverted expectations because I was like, oh no, like they're trapped in nets. It's gonna be bad.
Yeah. And they take them to Niamos, which is like I'm stoked to be back on Niamos.
Yeah, that was cool. He was like, oh, I was like, you better go get that that stash box because
how lucky
you have your life in there, my guy. And then
2 blasters and 250,000 credits or whatever, 200,000.
That's our second. I think that's our second alien moment, right? I don't know if the Saw stuff is now or later, but that was another new alien we saw. Or I've seen that species before. I just don't know. I forget the name.
Oh, I do too.
Very cool. Yeah. Sort of like squid faced, like an aqualish. Cool design. But it sleeps. Heavy sleeper.
Heavy, deep sleeper.
Yeah, sleeper.
How lucky was he that his stash box was there, man? I know, and
I was like, that was there. That was like in clear sight, like a plain view of like the entire the room there. I was like, how did no one see this? And then I don't know the status of that house. Is like, was he renting that? Did he live did he buy that outright with his credits?
I think it was just like a cabin. It was like
me too. It was like a B&B on Niamos, like,
or it's like one of those places that have little huts. It's like little suites, It's like one of those
it was
little
like a bungalow or something. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, a little bungalow or something. It's probably next to 8 other bungalows. So
I love back to Niamos. I love that planet. If we ever when we do our sort of Star Wars RPG that we'll stream, have Niamos just mandatory in the campaign. Just like one of my favorite planets at this point. That is a beach in England, right? I believe like that's.
Oh, I don't know the real location.
That's very cold. That must be a cold sort of beach, like cold water.
It looks awesome though. It looks very
beautiful though. Oh my goodness. I wonder if the sky's painted in the last shot. We'll talk about it. But that shot is unreal. That shot was wild. and just the emotion captured in that frame as well. And then I think our the other major alien species moment is the Saw scenes, obviously, and Saw always runs deep with like a nice diverse crew, and you get super gorgeous designs, and it's just another huge episode for Benthic Two Tubes. Like, like this is he gets a couple lines.
Yeah,
This
he does.
This is big, guys.
It's huge.
This is huge. This is actually a massive. This is probably the biggest thing that's happened on this podcast in a while, which is Benthic got lines, and he got to like get some screen time, and he gets a call out by one of the coolest characters ever, Luthien. Basically,
yeah,
he knows his name. Up by Luthien, he gets implicated as the inside man among Saw's men in front of Saw, and Saw basically is apoplectic, and Luthien has to like draw arm on Saw, and it's,
right. Oh, he got the drop on Benthic's gun, which I didn't think was going to happen, but yo.
I do want to see Benthic in action. I think you do get a couple shots of Benthic in action in Rogue One. I want to say maybe deleted.
Couple,
maybe some kind of trailer moment I saw. There's some great when he's in action.
It's just like a line or two, you know.
That entire design is, I think, one of my favorite alien designs I've seen in a while. Obviously, he had a huge arc in the comics. We reviewed those a while back, but
that's why he's a favorite here on this this news channel, I think, because like he was epic in that
right, because he's like comic. He survives. He must survive. Does he survive?
He survived Scarif somehow. I don't know how. Right?
Really?
Because it was after Scarif, I think, was that comic book arc. They were like on the remains.
So he survives Jedi. He survives the Jedi. He survives the attack there.
Oh yeah, I said Scarif. I'm sorry.
Yeah. He must survive that moment. But anyways, because I think he meets up with Luke later in the comics.
Yeah,
kind of wild. Adam would know. He's a big.
No, yeah, that's for sure. I know they do, and that's where they run into the cultists of the Central Isopter too. Which
ooh, that's a deep pull. That's a
dude.
Wow. That's a.
They're my favorite.
Go back and we review those again, or at least talk about that, like greatest arcs, because that was a fun time.
Yeah, it was. It was
yeah. So then, obviously we covered B2. I mean, B2 is like stole the scenes. Every scene he was in, he sort of stole the scene. He was so interesting to watch. It was the first time I've sort of seen a droid. I guess care for the humans around them in a way that I've never seen sort of C-3PO. It's like what R2. It's like if R2 had a voice almost. It's really fun to watch.
Yeah, really sweet. You know, you're right, man. This episode was. I'll just back up a second and say Andor, for the most part, has been carving its own path in Star Wars. And really, you know, if you're going to go by our pillars thing, like what makes a Star War, there's been episodes that are only a couple of the pillars that are only doing a couple things. But
remember, this is also the sort of spy thriller vernacular,
right? And I mean, I think really we have to look at this show as a whole, and then it makes more sense, because then you get an episode like 11. And you really touch all of the like major Star Wars buttons on this episode. It's like you've got a space battle, you've got lightsabers, you've got the
major droid moments.
Yeah, major droid moments, major creature moments. It does all the things.
Yeah, and sort of the sense of adventure and ensemble and. Light and dark. Again, this show sort of navigates the gray, but there's just choices. People make choices. Choices are hard to make, and choices can have terrible outcomes and good outcomes, and everyone's playing this game. And it's just wonderful. It's like one of the best shows I've seen. I think it's my favorite Star Wars thing, in the last 10 years. So
yeah. It's outstanding. I don't know. I think like production value and like story is head and shoulders above everything else. But I have to say I'm enjoying it just as much as I enjoy everything that comes out. Which is to say,
I do enjoy everything. I'm just
Glee.
This is a truly special show.
Oh, it absolutely is. It's absolutely a game changer. But here we are, 11 episodes in, so I'm just like, all Star Wars. That's right.
Yeah. So and I think we covered the FERRIX and B2 and Brasso stuff, like heartbreaking, heartwarming. Touching, incredible. Obviously, Dedra calling in and being like, "Let's give them the permit for this funeral."
Yeah.
Let's and then also we'll watch carefully and have all eyes on the procession. And maybe Cassian will show up. We kind of get all that. But Coruscant, there's so much fun intrigue on Coruscant in this episode.
Oh, good.
Oh,
And so this is the third scene that they've got to like resolve, and it's got to be Mon Mothma and her daughter Leia and the gangster.
well, before that, we have Luthen's shop. We have Vel entering.
Oh yes, of
Luthen's
course. I was
shop.
thinking about. Oh, you're right. We
Yeah,
have
that's
two-
the first moment I think we get, and that scene is incredible. It's also so refreshing to watch a show where like two women get to talk about things that have nothing to do with like medieval politics or like just like the darkest stuff. And it's nice to have these two awesome characters. I'm fascinated by both characters. I'm gonna shout out Kleya at the end of this episode when we do our sort of roundup. But as of right now, I mean, like that was one of my favorite scenes in the episode. I think a favorite dialogue moment, sort of like favorite just conversation. I love that moment.
Definitely, I think my quote of the day comes from that scene for sure.
Okay, yeah, I think we have the same quote then. We'll just talk about it now. It's Kleya's line. It's I don't have lately, I have always. I have a constant blur of plates spinning and knives on the floor and needy, panicked faces at the window, of which you are one of many. You are but one of many. I was like, oh, that line.
Oh, murdered by words. Yeah.
Destroyed. Yeah. Vel like didn't even know how to respond in that moment. If you go back,
there's no
Vel
response.
Is like, just dropped the science right now. I don't like, okay, 1 second. Cassian Andor, that's right. That's why I came here.
Oh yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. This is why Kleya and Luthien give me such like Jedi vibes sometimes. I'm like, did they just leave the order and are they like running an antique shop and are they master and apprentice? Like, what's going on here? They're sort of playing mind games with people. They're like one step ahead of everyone. It's wild. It's unreal. That line is unreal. Just that whole moment is unreal. And then obviously Vel goes to the embassy, which I guess that's where you get your Mon Mothma scenes, is the embassy. I almost wish she was out and about in Coruscant more often, but she does get in her car and goes to the Senate. But yeah, we're back in the embassy.
Yeah, she's on her couch.
Mothma is devastated. Like she's distraught. She's watching Leia practice these traditional chants that sound terrifying and like sort of like very braided to like in the braid we find trust or what. I don't know what it was. It was just sounding kind of strange and I don't know, sort of this I guess repressive sort of traditional values system that it just felt weird. I was like, this chant is scary. I get why she's afraid. I get why Mon Mothma does not have braids. I get why Vel does not have braids, because now I'm thinking like the braids are almost this symbol in their culture of sort of like being traditional. And
but you got
progressive.
You're right. It's like traditional values, but it feels like it's religion. They said Mothma says like you found the elder.
Yeah. So this was this is like some Snoke Ben Solo stuff right here. This is like Leia found some sort of like Chandrillan elder who has taught her in these ways, and she's sort of, I guess, taking that character as her mentor and parental figure instead of her own parents is kind of like what I'm thinking at this point, which is,
or it's like, are they fellow Chandrillans and like all those girls, and it's just like this is just what it's like to be conservative on Chandrilla, or to be like rich and in like some sort of
the elder is fantastic setup for a second season of like some elder rolling in and being terrifying and having some religious commentary finally in Star Wars, which was built for religious commentary. That'd be great.
That's what I was waiting for. Grant talks about this all the time
on the podcast, but nonetheless, that could be fun.
Yeah.
And Tony Gilroy is a great person to do it, honestly.
He's perfect to do it.
So then Vel is like you can see Vel just absorbing the pain and shock and fear from Mon, and she's sort of like, well, to like, does Luthien know about this? Like, does Luthien know about the money problems and trusting Tay and
right, because they're a house of cards,
Yeah,
it's like if one goes down,
if she falls, they're going to learn about Luthen's operation. Luthen's always talking about shutting down every day. He's just like, we might have to shut down this operation. Like we got Cassian Andor out there. Mon has money problems. And like Vel is like shook as well in this scene. And so, yeah, just great acting all around. I think Genevieve O'Reilly just crushes in these moments. Like it was just, you really just, that was kind of resonating these really deep emotions in that scene. And like, this is the first time I actually had like, I thought this was a good Leda scene. Like this was actually a great Leda scene where it's like, oh, she's practicing. Like now I understand the character. The character is practicing these traditional values, and Mon is like, this doesn't come from me. It doesn't come from Perrin. This is something outside our family that she's, sort of grown attached to. So it's fascinating.
You're right. That actress, the Leda actress, did a fantastic job. She didn't have a lot of lines, but every time she shot a look at Mon Mothma, it was daggers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like lightsabers. Like
it was lightsabers.
Brutal. Yeah. No. Yeah. The energy. It was a fun scene.
And Mon Mothma is like planning, like, do I ruin the rest of your life? And you'll probably thank me.
Mon Mothma's like, do we go to the Outer Rim? Do we?
Yeah.
I will exile us.
Yeah. Do you want to have a life of crime? Like, you're welcome. Have some.
Yeah. Okay. I think we need to cut to the chase right now. We need to hop across town.
Oh, yeah?
Jump on the speeder. We need to travel to the Karn residence right now.
Around midnight? The hour of the wolf?
Yeah, all the suns have set, and Cyril wakes up. It's I guess it's not Sergeant Mosk anymore. I guess he's just Mosk, the maintenance operator. I don't know what he is at this point.
He's working at he'd Mosk the smelter.
Yeah, Mosk's furnace. I don't know. That call was hilarious. I thought that call was incredibly comedic. I was laughing outright during that entire call. And I think it was Cyril that was making me laugh because he was like, he just became so serious, and I just started cracking up because I was like, this is hilarious. Of course, it's only funny when someone's garbled or their audio's all chopped up. If the other person on the other line really needs the information and it's just like dead set on this information being accurate. And to me, that moment was just funny, but also like intense, obviously. And Cyril's a kind of strange character, and I don't know, his sort of obsession with Andor is strange and odd, and I'm interested in seeing where that goes. It's crazy, it's fun, it's great storytelling. I think he's a fun character because I think there are these strange actors around us, and he's just great.
No, yeah, he is like he is perfect Star Wars comedic, which is just like in any other setting it's so like ham-fisted and crazy, and like he's such an over-the-top character. And but like he's dead serious the first time. He's dead serious. And so you take him serious, even though you're like, you guys are.
He steals from his mom's safe later in the night. He honestly, we're gonna call out. We did best line. He gets toughest look for just like reaching into his
stealing from moms
and taking some credits. Those were credits, right? It wasn't like the keys for a starship, right?
No, that was some credits.
That was some credits.
Had saved for a rainy day, and like that's what it's about. That's why I think like they're not gonna meet a flattering end, because these two guys are just like tryhards, and like they're kind of idiots, both like Cyril Karn and
actually toughest look probably goes to the Imperial officer who is questioning Bix. That guy is the worst.
Oh, those people are just terrible,
the absolute worst. Yeah.
But those are torturers. There's a different form.
Yeah, that's too easy.
Them.
Toughest look is more
Cyril's
like
just like pathetic. Yeah,
it's pathetic. It's sad.
At least they're actually in the Empire.
He's like going to FERRIX with like a raincoat and like a blaster, like snub-nosed blaster, and is just going to do something terribly dumb. Maybe he doesn't even have a weapon though.
Yeah, but he doesn't have a he has a bad tie and some credits he stole from moms.
Yeah, I think he's going to see someone and just report them to the Imperials,
Oh, yeah. That's the kind of guy he is.
Yeah.
Oh, man. By the way, favorite name of the episode, I think he might have been named before, but one of those officers that drags Bix away, the post-hair gentleman, the man that's involved.
Is his name Noof?
His name is Keysax. Like keys and sax, but one word. Like, hey, what do you play in that?
Yeah.
I play the keys. I play the sax.
Sax. Okay.
We play the keys sax.
Yeah, it's Kisaks. That's a thing, I think.
Yeah. I think they're just trolling because he's bald, which offends me.
I feel like there's an Imperial officer named Noof, something Opshalon or something. I don't know.
Gonna have to keep my eyes out for Noof.
Yeah, that name, I heard that in passing. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but it could be apocryphal. But yeah, I thought I heard that and saw that, and I was like, that's incredible.
Yeah. I think he's just gonna bungle into it and get blown away, and it'll be like, that's the sad tale of Cyril Karn.
Yeah, Cyril Karn's gonna do something just incredibly tough for everyone. I think in this, he's gonna insert himself in this situation, which is
high comedy. That would be amazing.
Yeah, like you said, if Cyril goes down, honestly, that's so sad. That's like the saddest story ever, because that's where he first bungled an operation, and then if he goes down there, that's like the saddest story. That's the greatest tragedy of all time. Is someone who just returns to the scene of the crime and then dies again. That's so tragic. I can't even
Cyril's clever. He he thinks about things. He has plans. He's rigorous. He had he was able to figure out who Cassian was. He kind of lucked into that, but he's not competent. He's not gonna save the day by taking down the hero. I mean, first of all, she's not going to take down the hero, but he's going to bungle into something. And I just, because he's not competent. So I would prefer, but I would love a scene where it's all the ISB and her elite troopers around her, and he just sort of joins the group from the back and shouts in his 2 cents. That would be great. And then he gets decked by a dark trooper or something.
Yeah, this is my most
Death Trooper.
This is the most highly anticipated story for me. I am following every character arc to a T. I love everything that's happening. I just cannot wait to see how everything sort of collides.
I know this is a unique experience, man, where we have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, we know Cassian Andor is not going to die. That's the one thing that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Luthien could, and Mon Mothma could take the helm of the rebellion. Sort of even from the shadows, and meeting with Kleya, that could be a whole thing, honestly.
Yeah, because Mon's met Kleya before, so she knows the person up.
And Kleya has a different sensibility with Mon than she does Vel. I feel like. Yeah. Actually, then again, Kleya doesn't trust anyone, so.
Yeah, but Mon plays by the rules anyways, and Kleya likes that. Oh, I was a little vexed that Vel was not following the rules. It's are you stupid, rich girl? Come on.
I do want Luthien to survive this finale, though. I would like something going on with Luthien. He's such a compelling character. I think we're just getting started almost. That engine just revved to life. And
I know. More stone
and that baton we just got there's all this setup with the baton gets taken over. We're here. I mean, we're here in our coverage anyways, which is Sagro Milo, which is that planet name is very difficult to pronounce. But they take away the wood sort of baton from him in the beginning. It's sort of like an extendable wood staff, right?
It's kind of like a toy lightsaber in a lot of ways. But it's a wooden handle, a wooden hilt, but it looks very much like a lightsaber. And then, of course, we know it extends into a walking stick, which is not made of light. It's made of, I don't know, some polymer or something.
Sure.
But he's got a lot of toys. Luthien Rael's got a lot of toys.
Yeah, who's to say that's not some sort of staff filled with gadgets of some kind?
Or maybe it turned. I would love the flip where he's a Jedi in hiding and Leia's his Padawan. That would be such a great turn. And he's I
don't need that. It's just if that's what the story is, there's nothing that's transpired as of yet that could negate that. Almost everything is. He has Sky Kyber in the beginning. He's just incredibly intelligent and he talks about not being able to have inner peace, but also giving up love, which makes me think he's not a Jedi. So that is something.
Well, but you give up love when you become a Jedi. In a lot of ways, I know it's there's compassion, but it's not love.
Right. It seems like he's given that up for this rebellion, though, pointedly in that speech. So I think it's just I don't think he's a Jedi. I don't think it's just interesting that Kleya's half his age, and we know masters, and Padawans are oftentimes there's the Padawans far younger, and who's to say, Kleya wasn't 10 and he wasn't, 10 years younger, and at that time
15 years younger, because he did say he was like, it started 15 years ago, which is exactly the start, the start of the Empire and the fall of the Republic.
Right.
So everything.
And who's to say there weren't like sort of Jedi, librarians and other Jedi running like reliquaries.
Oh yeah.
He could have, that's maybe what he did before is he sort of, I guess, was in charge of Jedi relics of some kind or something. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to dig into the theory too much because I think it's true. I don't think it's true. There's no way. It's just they haven't done anything yet that if they didn't want to drop that, sort of truth, that would, I don't know. It would make sense. Yeah. I wouldn't be like, no way. There's no setup for that. I'd be like, well, he has a Jedi Temple Guard mask in the shop in this episode. Sure, it's like, what does that mean? I know Tony Gilroy doesn't care about or is oblivious to what's in there, but who's to say story group people aren't like, oh, let's put a Jedi Temple Guard mask in here just as we get to maybe a moment where he was like, he talks about maybe knowing someone in the temple or knowing a guardian of the will or having Jedi roots of some kind, like he just seems high intellect, like a Jedi Sentinel or a knowledge keeper of the Jedi.
Yeah, it could be, man. I mean, don't sell yourself short, and don't sell Tony short either. I mean, he's not completely oblivious of what's.
I know the Skykyber was huge in the beginning, and it's like, was that not early setup for something? And then the lightsabers on his ship, like as Adam's talking about, I don't know. There's a lot going on there that's interesting to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. I didn't think about it at all until he mentioned it, and now you're right. Like, I just can't argue against it.
But he also could be just a worldly, I guess not worldly, but sort of a galaxy-ranging sort of historian and sort of studied every warrior.
Like a Santeca or something?
Yeah, like studied almost every culture's practices in the Force and also their practices in warfare. Like he could have studied. He's the Sun Tzu of the rebellion, right? Like that's who Luthien Rael is. So I don't know.
Oh, that's great, man. That's great. Yeah, Luthien can be a lot. That's why I just worry they've given kind of his backstory. We know what he stands for. He's making a decision to kill, like, let 30 people die. Like, all of those things say we're not going to see him in season 2 to me.
I know. I looked at your face when I said I want him to survive to season 2, and I looked at you and I was like, wow, that was just you were just. There was no chance. You were already shaking your head. You were like, he's done. No. Cyril comes in there, blaster to the gut, presses the nozzle to the gut. And
I don't want to give Cyril that big a win. You know what I mean? To just because that's such like an ignoble end for.
But also, let's look at the beginning and think about spectacle.
That needs to be cut down.
No. Let's look at the beginning and think about spectacle for a second, because here's a beautiful sort of poetic loop here. In the beginning, it's widely known that Cyril botched that mission. Like, it is a massive explosion. The guys die. It's the Luthien and Cassian get away scot-free. I think Cyril might weaponize the spectacle in that he might take out Luthien in front of Dedra, in front of the Imperials, to be like, look at me. I am worthy of being an Imperial. Season 2 is about me being an Imperial. I
can see him trying that, but also, Luthien Rael is a very competent fighter, not just in a starship, but also in real life. I
know, that's why I'm saying it would be sad if just his first on foot thing after that sweet star Hallcraft maneuver is just like instant death. Like, to me, I'm just like,
a cheap shot from
we just started seeing some incredible maneuvering with Luthien, and like, we know he's a tactician, behind the scenes, but at the same time, it's like I almost want to see his real time maneuvering, his ability as a fighter, his prowess, and as a pilot, all that sort of stuff. But anyways, I don't know. It's just we could carry on about Luthien forever, but we are at the Saw scene now. We're at Sagro Milo. I think we discussed everything about the Karns. I don't anything you want. Catherine Hunter just crushing again, like
yeah.
I
know, she's always killing it.
I almost think she should get the Emmy, like.
Cyril Karn's mom.
I mean, Edie Karn, I think her name is. Yeah.
Yeah, Edie card.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It'd be
Like
great.
if you play a moment, like it's amazing. Like if you play just a snippet of her performance at any time, it's mind blowing.
It's mind blowing. Even her just like eavesdropping the next like hallway over, and then she just like drops a line at him that like
She
completely
walks
crushes him,
5 feet, turns a corner, and stops and listens to her
Yeah.
son's awkward phone call.
just so she can like drop like a dunk on her
just so
son
she can
after the
dunk on
call.
him in the morning while he eats cereal. It honestly, there's more drama happening in that household than around the
Oh.
galaxy. It's amazing.
I know he's in his like TIE fighter days, and she's like,
What is that tie? And
Oh.
how do I get one? And how fast will someone attack me in the street for wearing it?
That's yeah.
Uh.
Amazing. Hey, just real quick though, going back to Luthien Rael being a Jedi, how old would Rael Averross be at this time? Old Rael Averross, who was Count Dooku's other Padawan, the Padawan before Qui-Gon Jinn, who is like a living.
Yeah, that's
on
funny
another
you say
world
that
that's,
because every time someone says Luthien Rael or like everyone talks about Luthien Rael, I'm like, do you know about Rael Averroth? Because he's like, he's
Is
a
it like Ben
Jedi,
Kenobi,
he's a
Obi-Wan
Jedi turned
Kenobi?
non-believer, sort of like he's a Jedi who left the Order and sort of, I guess, goes under the employ of some sort of like monarchy.
I don't think he left the order. He's just that was his job. He was a king regent for like a young.
Okay,
princess or
yeah,
something.
maybe he's just done that for so long that I just didn't associate him with the Order anymore.
He's just a weird Jedi.
He also is sort of disaffected and disenfranchised and like smokes death sticks and it's like he's your classic sort of like cynical skeptic on almost everything and just this old soul, wizened. Almost reminds you of like if Qui-Gon just was a little bit more rogue than he is. Like that's kind of what Rael Averross represents. It's like
way more though, because he's
like way more rogue.
He goes into like drinking and smoking and
yeah. That's why I mean Luthien does have that smoky.
He sure does.
Yeah.
And I think he's about the right age.
I quit death sticks a long time ago. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
No, he's way too old. He's way too young.
But like, I'll tell you one thing: is I don't think Tony Gilroy read that book. I think Master and Apprentice. I think just us.
Yeah, we were the only ones. That's too bad because that was a great book. Who was it E.K. Johnson? No, it was.
That was Claudia Gray. That was
Claudia Gray.
That was a great book,
bro. That's a sick book. Yeah.
Yeah, the book's funny.
That could be my number one actually, which is weird. But I love that book.
Well, Rael Averross was a standout character. You're like, what? A death stick smoking Jedi? Oh, okay.
Right. Because he'd be Rael Averross has to be dead by then. Because if he was a little older than Qui-Gon Jinn, and then this is like what 20.
I do like her character. I think Claudia Gray just creates really fantastic characters.
She creates great characters. She like writes for established characters as well, but yeah, her story is amazing. I can't say enough good things about Claudia. They're all good, but Claudia is going to be a fave for me.
Yeah, like Lionel Gaiasi or whatever, and Geo, like that.
Oh,
that crew. Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, all the stuff she's doing, and
So then we get another Saw scene, which is incredible. Forrest Whitaker just dialing it up to 10 again.
Perfect like tone.
The paranoia, the start of the this is another, we could talk about this for 25-30 minutes. The beginning of his sort of paranoia, his fear of spies surrounding him, his distrust of everyone.
Yeah, Luthien carried him on that path. He was like, he wanted him to get buried.
This anxiety in the first place,
right? Because he was like, you see this anxiety, that's what we're gonna cause if we save what's his name? Kiros? What's his name?
Anto Kreegyr?
Kreegyr, sorry.
Yeah.
Kreegyr. He's like, if we save Kreegyr, as paranoid as you are now, that's how paranoid the IS.
Yeah, that's fascinating you say that, because it's so interesting to see where Saw's at in Rogue One, where he's just this paranoid wreck. He's got Borgullet in the next room, sort of used to pry information from people. And or I guess brainwash, mind wipe them, and leave them sort of, out, sort of full brain function. And you've got that going on. And so like, it just makes me think that like he sacrificed his sanity for this rebellion.
Yeah, we can see him go through some stuff because he's got it together in these episodes that we've seen. He's still whole as a human being, but he's who you'd expect him to be. And I was like really worried that like this version of Saw would be like Forrest Whitaker kind of doing an imitation of like Saw Gerrera from the last, but like no, like Forrest Whitaker is Saw Gerrera. Like he's just captured that character so perfectly. Every line he delivers, I buy 100%, and I love Saw.
Yeah, I love it because I love how much younger he appears in this show, and he's actually like coherent, and you can like he's just it's so interesting. I wonder if we're gonna see how he gets damaged, how he gets the lung damage, and he has to use the respirator. I'm wondering what happened there, what sort of incident caused that, because I feel like they could explore that in the show, and that makes perfect sense, honestly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if Jin is something that we see Jin at the end of the show, possibly. Yeah. A younger Jin, obviously. Yeah, I could see that, or we could get Felicity Jones back and do something, but that could be great. Yeah, the Saw stuff is some of my favorite moments in the show. Luthien, his paranoia of Luthien and Luthien implicating Two Tubes was such a fun moment where he's like, it's Two Tubes, and I was just like, oh, like really, we're really gonna call out Two Tubes? Yeah. And
Benthic is like beside himself. That was great. Just like, oh, can you imagine messing with that guy?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So then, but I think finally we get the coup de grace with Luthien, which is the Arrestor class patrol ship.
Yeah.
Stopping him above orbit, in orbit. It's interesting because it's like, it's, I guess, just outside the atmosphere of the planet. Like, it's kind of, it's so cool.
We get a war in the stars, which is
it's so cool. Yeah. This moment is, this is some of the best Star Wars I've ever seen, honestly.
Yeah.
We saw that ship in Rogue One too, that Arrestor class ship, cruiser. We did. And this time we got to see it in action. What a great scene.
And it also obviously, echoes A New Hope. Like iconic first.
The way it enters frame. I think we're above it though. It's like a different angle on sort of a behemoth ship sort of entering frame.
Yeah.
Which is nice because there's two ways to do those things. It's either pops out of hyperspace and it's like, whoa, looming dread, this massive thing, or you do like the slow creep. And I really respect the slow creep in this episode of just how massive the ship was and really creating that like fun scale again with the small, hull craft and the giant cruiser. It was, I loved that.
Yeah. That was really fun. I was not expecting that scene, and when it happened, I was so giddy. Everything's just like character development, more conversations, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Oh, war in the stars!"
He handled it perfectly too. This is how one should handle a patrol stop by the Empire if you are to be stopped. Because he calls in, he gets like a fake license from Alderaan that checks out, and then that just buys him time. I think he knows. He just has to create time in that moment.
Yeah.
He's like, I need to just make time happen. And so I can.
He had a plan. He had that all planned out.
It was nuts. That was crazy. Yeah. Well, I think the countermeasures had to load or something. The like flechette cannons.
It took a while for him to do, but he had a button that like faked the like burnout of one of
that was great. And they did scan and they're like, oh yeah, it is his like a port thruster or whatever. That was cool.
I don't know. I mean, now that I think about that scene, I'm like, maybe he is a Jedi because like he was fearless.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I've only seen maneuvers like this from the one type of person in the galaxy, and that's a Jedi.
And maybe Hera Syndulla had some moves like this too. She was pretty good in a pinch in a fight.
Right. No doubt. There's
you're right. But
there. Yeah, there's incredible pilots. Also, it was AI assisted. We have to think Luthen's droid is built into his ship, and that droid is incredibly savvy at like just hacking the holonet and getting access codes like across the galaxy. Like that droid is on top of things.
Yeah.
So and then obviously So cool when the cannons go off, destroys the dish, and sort of as the dish explodes, you see the tractor. It was just so like I don't know. It was just like it was pure cinema in that moment where you see the array break and then you see the tractor beam, screen. You see the tractor beam deplete. Just like it's so good. And then
it's so good, and it really
so
felt like watching the dish disintegrate. Like it felt so. It felt so like Lucasfilm, like 1970.
Yeah, it did. It felt vintage Star Wars. It's just in all the best ways. And it was just a big dumb dish too, which is I really respect. Like really massive,
dumb dish,
insanely massive pieces of technology that maybe don't need to be that large. But I love that stuff. That was incredible. And then I don't know. I guess we get to then he hits the thrusters and we get the TIE squad, the TIE wing, just go after them. Go after him. There's like a bomber amongst the TIE fighters, which was fun.
That was the first.
Fun to see them have a varied, sort of more diverse squadron. I like that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what the bomber thought it was going to do, but the thing got wiped out immediately. And then, but just to hear the like roar of TIE fighters again, and like you can see him getting shot out, like the green ion bursts, like or laser bursts.
Autocannon was the autocannon also like AI assist?
Yeah,
like, I don't.
The
think...
autocannon was OP.
Yeah, the autocannon was annihilating.
It took out that TIE bomber, and then it just like randomly like 360 no scoped a like TIE fighter.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and that's just before we get the lightsabers, the ship sabers. Yeah,
I mean he does like a flyby of the control tower, which is like
I was hoping the control tower would rattle to sort of continue the Last Jedi sort of flavor that I love, which is ships rattling bridges. But nonetheless, such a cool maneuver, like such a flex to fly in front of the bridge, like. Yeah. That's what you do, right? After you pull something like that, you're just like this upsets you, doesn't it?
Luthien was so calm. He was just like, okay, I'm out of it, and now I'm in attack mode. He's like, you're stuck in here with me, sort of thing. Yeah, and
that was incredible. It's also like, of course, he's prepared for a traffic stop. Of course, Like, what? Like, yes, that ship was modified for these sort of moments, which is interesting to me. I wonder if that admiral will then report that, and then it will go to the ISB, and they'll be like, "Oh, a Hullcraft did something crazy over here too." Yeah. And describing what that Hullcraft did, Luthien will have to get a new ship.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, like
that's why Luthien can't survive season 1. We figured it out.
Well, I think he's got to go. I know the ship's made, so I think he's got to. I think he's blown. He has to go into hiding. That's
because come on, you don't just pull maneuvers like that and then that doesn't get reported, and then they're like, oh yeah, another Hullcraft landed here.
Every Hullcraft in the galaxy is going to be like stopped and frisked. They're gonna pull
that
over
ship, that model.
Yeah. He can't just go back to Coruscant in that thing. I think he's done.
Thing's hot. We'll see.
But I don't know. Maybe there's a million of them.
That moment, I was just revving my fist. I was like levitating. That moment was incredible.
Totally a Jedi maneuver.
Yeah, again, like I don't want to sell this too much.
I mean, he used lightsabers, or were we going to split hairs?
I mean, wielded lightsabers from his wings.
Yeah.
No, that was cool. But I think we need to get back to Niamos. I think that's where this episode ends.
Okay.
And we got to close this show. We got to bring the show to a close, just like the episode did. And what an incredible way! Another like sunset, golden hour, beautiful skyline, horizon on Niamos, the beachfront.
Yeah.
Melshi just being like, we need to tell the galaxy about what's going on in these prisons. Like, it is not okay. We need to spread the word.
That's going to be important.
Cassian would give him some credits in that moment, but just gives him a blaster. I was like, how about some credits? Like, he might need some credits.
I thought he had given him some credits already because they're both wearing new clothes. So I figured he was like,
That's true. Yeah.
But like maybe the blaster was
that shirt was money too. Melshi's shirt was.
Oh yeah, on point. He's wearing like slip-ons and like some hemp pants. He was ready for the beach. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna get some gear to go tour the galaxy. He's like, no, I'm gonna.
Yeah, Melchi's like, oh, we got to go tell people. Walk straight into a cantina. Like, walk straight to the nearest club. And I was like, okay.
And I'm gonna start telling people here, right in this bar, and then I'm gonna tell people down at the beach, and then I'm gonna tell people surfing.
I'm still telling people. It's like the next.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell people at the luau tonight. I'm gonna tell people at 3 a.m. next to the bonfire. Yeah. And after I sleep in 3 days.
Great. And then obviously Cassian takes the worst phone call of his life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I guess calls someone and gets the worst news.
Right. Oh, Zan. That's a guy's name.
Yeah, Zan.
Orange hat guy. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, Cass. He's like, no names.
He's like, yeah.
But Cass.
And he uses his name 4 more times. And it's like, bro. They definitely intercepted that, right?
Yeah.
And not that it matters.
That might be toughest look, honestly. Zan or Cyril. I don't know. Come on, Zan. Keep the cover.
Cyril's such a dude.
No, Cyril's an easy get for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think quite possibly one of the most beautiful shots I've ever seen, which is that skyline, the sun setting. I guess the sun's shining through the clouds, Cassian's face, that emotion, just that frame. Incredible work. What a brilliant show.
I know. I started thinking about Binary Sunset at that moment, where it's like,
but almost like tortured. Golden hour. I don't know. Tortured sunset. It was.
Yeah, it's like the lights trying to peek through the clouds, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, clouded. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, clouded. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. But there's a lot of metaphor there. But a hero moment for our guy. He's ready. I think we're going to see Rebel Cassian in the next episode. Did you want to do a roundup, or have we done the thing?
We can just do it right now, real quick.
A little quick roundup. Let's round up.
Just a quick roundup.
Let's go.
So best dialogue we covered. Utini shot. Best shot of the episode. Do you have a favorite shot?
Oof. I mean, just kept talking about that final shot.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's beautiful.
But like, there's got to be another one. What's yours? You say yours.
I'll buy you some time. I think I like the Imperial Admiral on the Arrestor class cruiser, the sort of reflection of the exploding ties and the destroyed array. I think that's my favorite shot.
So like the end of that scene, because I was going to bring
the end of that scene and the sort of the reflection of sort of the blown up ties and the array. Yeah.
Because you could see the destroyed.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Like in a reflection.
And I've never seen sort of like that in a reflection shot. Like that was a new shot for that sort of a moment. And
usually they're looking like heroically over the stars or something.
Usually they're looking like just off camera, just on eyeliner, and it's just sort of they're shouting orders, or looking. You assume they're looking out of the bridge, and if we see them looking out of the bridge, it's usually over shoulder, and so it was nice to see the glass in front of him, his expression, all the sort of devastation, destruction. That was just a gorgeous shot. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean they did that kind of shot in Rebels a lot because you could do it with animation, but it's like really hard to do.
Oh yeah, very
look
cool.
Practical,
Yeah,
but they pulled it off, and it was that was a shot that stayed with me too.
That's the Utini shot for me for sure.
Hey man, nice, good call.
Best new characters in this episode.
Other than Keysacks?
I mean, Dewey and Freedy, the Narkinians.
Dewey's a real one, man.
Yeah, he's the truth. Also, I think his prosthetic was used in Rogue One, like the same sort of design that his.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he's an animal in the background with Saw. So maybe he joined Saw in this show. I don't know.
That'd be cool.
That'd be cool. Do we have a meme for this episode? Is there one expression, gesticulation, facial sort of gesture, anything like?
I mean, it's also the best quote, which we talked about too. But like, I don't have lately. I have always. I just feel like could make its way into the zeitgeist.
I just think B2, I'm glad you're here, is like, I just could use that. It's just heartwarming. Like that's just a nice thing to send someone. I can also see just like, weary Bix being like, this is how I feel about your lecture. But, yeah.
The greatest Star Wars meme of all time is more.
Yeah, more is so good. It's so good. I think The Last Jedi has a lot of my favorite memes.
Yeah.
Just the sliding and the more and there's a lot going on in that.
Yeah.
It's great. We did toughest look. Trying to think here. I think we covered most of them, honestly. I don't what haven't we covered at this point? Any let me think here. Any
No, the music's taken a back seat lately. It's fantastic.
the music, yeah, favorite score, any favorite themes here or anything?
None of the themes grabbed me in this one because I think again we're sort of in between. There was like a little bit of a triumph moment, some music at the end there.
Do you have a backdoor pilot for this episode?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Brasso and
yeah, I think we talked about it. Yeah.
Brasso and B would I actually would watch that show of like those.
Yeah, I think I would too.
I
think the Melshi show could be huge, honestly. They're
Melshi's
parting ways. Where's Melshi going? Like I'm going to the club. I'm going to the club with Melshi. Like that's I love that Cassian leaves and Melshi just stays on Nyamos and just parties down.
Yeah.
Like, that is the show for me.
My headcanon is that Melshi spends 2 weeks on Nyamos before he goes anywhere.
I mean, also I think Backdoor Pilot, honestly, Luthien prequel show at this point, written by Tony Gilroy, sort of shepherded by Tony Gilroy, something that
as
Luthen's
he's
early
a
days.
young master in Jedi Temple.
No, I mean, obviously, hopefully, I actually wouldn't. I'm not for him being a Jedi, but it would be fun to go back and just see where his headspace is at.
Yeah.
When the Empire is taking over, what that means, why he wants to fight for this rebellion. I know we're starting late in the game in media res, but it's fun to go back and see what the sort of inspiration was.
He's such a good character.
Such a fun character. Yeah, just the character I want to know more. He's endlessly fascinating.
It's the actor Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah, just crushing,
dude.
It's unfair. It's unfair how good he is. I think that's it. I don't know what else. What else can we cover here? I think we covered most things. We did best dialogue. We did best shot. We did most of them. I think.
All right. We'll consider it rounded up. I think
it's rounded.
Rounded up. Everything is rounded. That was super fun. This episode was amazing. I'm sure we'll stop recording and then Grant.
I know it's like
2 more hours.
I don't, and it's interesting. I do want to say, I do want to preface that I don't normally just laud and sort of praise all that Star Lucasfilm makes. This show is just really I think a masterpiece, and I don't say that word lightly. It's not a word I throw around.
You highlight pieces that you like of other shows. You're like, oh, that's great. And then you're like, oh, that's an interesting choice. I might have changed something, but you're right. I know this is like a Grandt
This is
show.
weirdly no notes, absolute masterpiece. Would love to watch more. Everything that this creative team is doing, I would love to watch more of them doing that exact thing. Yeah.
I know, man. It's going to be so long.
I know, we got to wait. For that next
At least they're shooting it. I think they must.
I think they're shooting it now.
They're shooting it right now. They just started.
Yes, so that's good. I would love to. I don't know. I'm interested to see what Lindelof does. If that is indeed a real movie happening, I think he's a brilliant writer as well. And so, I think there's great creatives working on Star Wars. Obviously,
there aren't any movies being shot. Lindelof's not doing any shooting.
Yeah,
but yeah.
And then Leslie Headland, I think, doing the Acolyte.
Yeah, that's shooting.
I am pumped for that show.
Yeah,
I cannot wait. Yeah,
I can't wait for Mando 3 also is going to be fantastic. I mean, any show.
Yeah, and Ahsoka, I think, wrapped. There's so much Star Wars in the pipeline.
I mean, I'm a little trepidatious about Ahsoka, honestly.
We got to cover a lot of books and comics before these things start hitting us anyway, so I'm happy to have this free time after Andor. But Ahsoka's wrapped. Not wrapped. I think just Sabine, the actress playing Sabine, wrapped out. So
okay.
So who's to say where they are in production there? But
man, I can't wait to see live action Sabine. That's going to be great.
Yeah, we should
do a Rebels rewatch too if we have enough time. We should get that going.
I wouldn't be surprised if she gets the Darksaber again, and she is the rightful, Mandalorian.
She's the rightful owner of the Mandalorian saber. That would be funny if it worked out that way.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
We will see. We will see how that goes. Yeah, I'm fascinated by that. I'm a little trepidation. Ahsoka.
Final bits of news. I believe Mando and Grogu make their debut at Galaxy's Edge tomorrow.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are they going to be permanent fixtures?
I think they are permanent fixtures. I think we also got the release of the 3 new books for the Essential Legends collection, and that is Yoda by Sean Stewart, Dark Rendezvous, Hard Contact, Book 1 of the Republic Commando series by Karen Travis. And also Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void by Tim Leben. So, yeah.
So is that just Lucasfilm saying, like, we're not going to redo these? Is that them, like, essentially canonizing those stories?
I just think they're just essential legends, like essential sort of stories that they find
are
fascinating and compelling and worth reprinting. These are incredible authors. Karen Travis has written, I think those Republic Commando books are some of my favorite books ever written.
No, they're only releasing like cult favorites, but Karen Travis hasn't got her due yet.
Yeah.
Until like now, like this is that people adore that series.
Yeah, it's a great series. I read it very young too, so yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad she's getting. I mean, is it just an honorific like that?
Yeah, I think it's an honorific, honestly,
and a money grab a little bit too.
Yeah, these are great stories. They brought us joy. Let's reprint. And yeah, let's highlight this author. It's great. They're great. So it's fun. I'm glad they're out there.
News at the end. Thank you, Grant, for that. Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for staying with us on this journey, talking about my favorite show in the world right now.
Best show I've seen on streaming this year.
For real. We'll talk to you next week talking about the finale, and Adam will actually be here in person, hopefully, if he gets released from wherever he is. And that'll be super. We miss you, buddy. All right. So thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week. May the Force be with you.
This is Grex Kondak signing off. For the latest breaking news, follow @CoreWorldNews on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you, and good night.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.